Have you ever wondered how jazz, a genre so rich and diverse, evolved over the centuries? Let's travel back in time to the late 19th and early 20th centuries, to the roots of jazz. Picture a world where African musical traditions were beginning to mix with the Western world's musical landscape. This was a time of musical innovation and cultural fusion, a time when new sounds were born and old ones reinvented. In the heart of this innovation was the city of New Orleans, a melting pot of cultures and a fertile ground for the birth of jazz. The city's vibrant music scene became a crucible for the blending of blues, ragtime, and brass band marches, all of which played a significant role in shaping the jazz we know and love today. The blues, with its deep roots in African musical traditions, added soul and depth to jazz, while ragtime, with its syncopated rhythms and ragged tempo, gave jazz its unique, infectious swing. And let's not forget the brass band marches, whose upbeat rhythms and lively melodies brought a certain vivacity to jazz that is still palpable today. But what's a genre without its pioneers, right? Enter Buddy Bolden, often called the first king of jazz. Bolden, with his powerful cornet playing and innovative improvisations, became a key figure in the early jazz scene. His unique style and musical vision helped shape jazz into a distinct genre. And then there was Jelly Roll Morton. Morton claimed to have invented jazz, and while that might be a stretch, there's no denying his significant influence. As a pianist, band leader, and composer, Morton left an indelible mark on jazz, blending various musical elements to create a sound that was uniquely his own and uniquely jazz. So the birth of jazz was a symphony of various cultural influences, a true testament to the power of musical fusion. From its roots in African musical traditions through the influences of blues, ragtime, and brass band marches, to the pioneering work of musicians like Buddy Bolden and Jelly Roll Morton, jazz has always been a genre of innovation, diversity, and fusion. Now imagine the vibrant 1920s, also known as the Jazz Age, but why did this era earn such a name? The 1920s, a period of prosperity, cultural dynamism, and significant social change, marked a profound shift in the music world. Jazz music, with its lively rhythm and expressive melodies, became the heartbeat of this decade, resonating from the bustling city streets to the clandestine corners of speakeasies. The Great Migration played a pivotal role in the rise of jazz. Thousands of African Americans moved from the rural South to the urban North, carrying their rich cultural heritage and musical traditions with them. This movement resulted in a dynamic cultural exchange that breathed life into the burgeoning jazz scene. The Prohibition, a nationwide constitutional ban on alcoholic beverages, paradoxically, added fuel to the jazz flame. Illegal bars, known as speakeasies, sprang up across the nation, offering not only a haven for those seeking a good drink, but also a stage for jazz musicians to perform. The syncopated rhythms and improvisational style of jazz became the soundtrack of these underground establishments, mirroring the spirit of rebellion and resilience during this era. Among the key figures who helped shape the Jazz Age, two names stand out: Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington. Armstrong, with his virtuosic trumpet playing and distinctive voice, revolutionized jazz by introducing an innovative form of soloing. Ellington, a brilliant composer and band leader, elevated the genre to new artistic heights, transforming jazz from a dance music into a sophisticated art form. Armstrong's emotive, personal style and Ellington's artistic ambition reflected the essence of jazz, a music deeply rooted in human experience and emotion, constantly evolving and pushing boundaries. Their contributions, along with those of countless other musicians, helped jazz music permeate every level of society, making the 1920s truly the Jazz Age. The Jazz Age indeed was a time of great transformation and innovation for this genre. As we moved into the mid-20th century, how did jazz continue to evolve and adapt to the changing times? The answer lies in the emergence of bebop during the 1940s. As World War II raged on, a new style of jazz was born in the smoky clubs and late-night jam sessions of Harlem. Bebop, with its fast tempo and complex chord progressions, was a radical departure from the danceable swing era. It was jazz for the thinkers, the rebels, the connoisseurs, and at the forefront of this revolution were two extraordinary musicians, Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie. Charlie Parker the Bird was a virtuoso saxophonist whose improvisational skills and innovative phrasing redefined jazz. He was the melody to Dizzy Gillespie's harmony. Gillespie, with his puffed cheeks and bent trumpet, was a master of rhythm and a pioneer of Afro-Cuban jazz. Together, they transformed jazz into a serious art form, a music of the mind and soul. As the 1950s dawned, bebop evolved into various modern jazz styles. Cool jazz, characterized by relaxed tempos and lighter tone, offered a contrast to the frenetic energy of bebop. It was the jazz of the West Coast, the jazz of the Chet Bakers and the Stan Getzes. Meanwhile, on the East Coast, hard bop was brewing. A reaction to the subdued cool jazz, hard bop was a return to jazz's bluesy roots with a twist of gospel. It was the jazz of the Art Blakeys, the Horace Silvers. Then came the 1960s, a decade of change and experimentation. Jazz was no exception. Free jazz emerged, shattering the conventions of melody and harmony. It was jazz unchained, jazz in its purest form, and who better to lead this rebellion than Miles Davis, the chameleon of jazz? From bebop to cool, from modal to fusion, Davis was always at the cutting edge, always ahead of the curve. From bebop to fusion, jazz continued to push musical boundaries, reflecting the turbulent yet dynamic times. In our modern world, where does jazz stand and how has it influenced the music we listen to today? Jazz, a genre born in the backyards of New Orleans, has come a long way since its inception. It has crisscrossed continents, transcending boundaries, and in the process has become a universal language that resonates with music lovers around the globe. The unique improvisational nature of jazz has found its way into various music genres, subtly and sometimes not so subtly influencing their evolution. Take pop music as an example. Many of today's pop artists incorporate elements of jazz into their music, drawn to its complex rhythms and harmonic structures. The result? A genre that's ever evolving, constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible in music. Rock music too owes a debt of gratitude to jazz. The genre's complex chord progressions, syncopated rhythms, and improvisational elements have all been borrowed from jazz. Rock and jazz share a symbiotic relationship, with each genre influencing and being influenced by the other. But perhaps the most profound influence of jazz can be seen in hip-hop. Jazz and hip-hop are kindred spirits, both genres born from a need to express the struggles and triumphs of life through music. Many hip-hop artists sample jazz records in their tracks, creating a fusion of old and new that's both fresh and nostalgic. Even in our contemporary music scene, jazz continues to be a vital force. It's not just a genre, but a mindset, a way of thinking about music that prioritizes creativity, innovation, and expression above all else. It's this spirit of jazz that continues to inspire musicians, regardless of the genre they work in. Jazz has also played a crucial role in promoting cultural diversity in music. Its global reach has brought musicians from different cultures together, fostering a sense of unity and mutual understanding through the universal language of music. Jazz, as we see today, has truly become a global phenomenon, influencing countless artists and genres. Its timeless appeal and continued relevance are testaments to its enduring power and influence. As we move into the future, one thing is certain. The spirit of jazz will continue to shape the music we listen to and the way we listen to it. So, what have we learned about the intriguing journey of jazz? Well, our exploration began with jazz's genesis, a story steeped in a complex mix of cultures. Born out of the African and European traditions, jazz found its roots in the late 19th and early 20th century America, particularly in the vibrant city of New Orleans. It was there, amidst the cacophony of life, that jazz's unique rhythm and improvisation emerged, offering a fresh, dynamic voice to the music world. Then we moved into the Roaring Twenties, a time fondly remembered as the Jazz Age. This era saw jazz music burst onto the mainstream scene, fueled by the post-war economic boom and the advent of new technologies like the radio. The Jazz Age was a time of flappers, speakeasies, and a wild, triumphant music that captivated the nation and defined a generation. Our journey continued through the mid-20th century, a period of significant evolution for jazz. We witnessed the development of new subgenres like bebop, cool jazz, and jazz fusion, each pushing the boundaries of musical expression. The likes of Charlie Parker, Miles Davis, and Herbie Hancock led the way, innovating and reinventing, keeping jazz at the forefront of the music scene. Finally, we touched on jazz's influence today, a global phenomenon that transcends borders and cultures. Jazz has inspired countless musicians and listeners worldwide, infusing other genres with its distinctive sound and spirit. Its language of improvisation and freedom of expression have made it a universal music form, celebrated from New York to Tokyo, from Cape Town to Oslo. From its humble beginnings to its global impact, the journey of jazz is a captivating tale of creativity, innovation, and resilience, a testament to the enduring power of music.